Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Governor Andy Beshear made his priorities known for making a state spending budget.
Governor Beshear also discussed the Mountain Parkway project, saying he hopes to speed up its progress.
And we come back to Perry County, which has officially joined an ever-growing list of Second Amendment sanctuary counties here in the Commonwealth.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 6:01. I'm Will Puckett.
And I'm Madison Pergram.
Thank you for tuning into Mountain News This Morning on this Wednesday, hump day, halfway through the work week, Madison. And there's snow on the radar, but there's not any falling.
Of course. I'm not shocked. Are you shocked?
Not at all. I wish I was. Let's bring Brandon in this morning. And Brandon, we've had reports that there is not snow falling in those western counties like the radar shows. What's kind of creating that?
Well, here's the thing. You can have moisture in the atmosphere, a situation that can't get through those drier layers of the ground or toward the ground. And I think that's what's happening. It's up there. It's a scenario which we call ground clutter, or sometimes we call it Virga. But again, we're going to continue to watch that this morning in those western counties. Let's take a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar. It looks active, looks very active, but again, unless you're seeing some, we know in Pulaski County it's for sure not reaching the ground, which looks like the heaviest concentration. Wow, there we go. It's Monday for me, or at least a new Monday. But you see, if down toward I-75, if you're out that way and you're seeing a few flakes, please let me know on social media. I don't think most of that is reaching the ground as mentioned. UVA-wise this morning, clouds, maybe just a touch of fog there on the horizon, but again, quiet start to the morning here on this Wednesday. 32 Prestonsburg, Logan, and Jackson and Hazard down to 31 now in Pikeville, 33 in Harlan, 34 London, Williamsburg, and Somerset, 37 in Middlesboro is the hot spot this morning. So a little extra on the coffee meter, maybe a quick scrape on the cars too, especially areas that might have got a little colder. Mainly cloudy skies today, some stray chances for rain late, and then maybe some chances for scattered showers and snow showers in the overnight hours. We'll talk more about that coming up. Will?
Alrighty, Brandon, thank you. Well, the Kentucky Senate approved a bill to require doctors and other health workers to provide life-sustaining care for an infant born alive after a failed abortion attempt. The bill now heads to the House. The bill's lead sponsor recently said he was not aware of any instances in which an infant was born alive in Kentucky from a failed abortion. He added that the bill is needed to prevent it from ever happening.
And Kentucky lawmakers now have an idea of what the governor wants in a 2-year spending plan.
Yeah, Governor Andy Beshear gave his second joint address of the legislative session, telling House Senate members he wants a budget that puts education first and raises more money with sports wagering and tobacco taxes.
WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what the governor had to say in reaction from legislative leaders.
Kentucky lawmakers now have just over 2.5 months to come up with and pass a 2-year spending plan. But now they know the governor's priorities.
Public education is not only the key to breaking cycles of poverty for our families, it is the key to leaping forward as a state.
Beshear says his budget puts education first, proposing a $2,000 pay raise for teachers, a 1% increase in the SEEK funding formula, and help for schools wanting facilities upgrades. He is also proposing no more cuts for higher education, and in fact calls for no cuts period in the general fund.
For the first time in 14 years, it starts reinvesting in our people.
Well, it depends. We don't know that this one doesn't have spending cuts because we don't know what has he done to cabinets for health and family and children. What has he done to public protection?
Legislative leaders say they still don't have enough information on various aspects of the budget.
Just as an example, he laid out the concept of hiring new social workers, which are vitally needed. We know that that's a very urgent need within the cabinet, but is that a transfer of money from one side of the cabinet to the other side of the cabinet?
Governor Beshear also proposes several ways to raise more money.
Sports betting, a small cigarette tax hike, a new tax on vaping.
We know that smoking is an ever declining base, but the more you tax it, the quicker the base will decline.
Kentucky lawmakers have their work cut out for them. The Speaker of the House says that they want to make sure they get right to work on this budget. Will start tomorrow, hoping to have something passed in that chamber by the end of February. The Senate president says they want to make sure that they keep their veto power and have something passed before the 59th or 60th day of the legislature. At the state capitol in Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
Now, Governor Beshear did not propose casino gambling as a way to raise more money, like his father did, but called on lawmakers to eventually pass it as other Republican-led states have.
It is nearing 4 years since construction began on the Mountain Parkway. During his first State of the Commonwealth, Governor Beshear mentioned wanting to speed up the Mountain Parkway project. The message from the governor sent airwaves across Salyersville, bringing plenty of optimism.
It's going to make it a thoroughfare from Lexington or the western part of the state into eastern Kentucky. It's going to be the main entrance for industry, business, people to come into eastern Kentucky and get started. And it's just going to, you need transportation, you need good road systems, and this is what we need for eastern Kentucky to thrive.
The Mountain Parkway Twitter page says the newest segment to undergo construction is set to be completed by 2022.
And legislators and local leaders gathered in Frankfort yesterday to celebrate the good done by nonprofit organizations here in the Commonwealth. Leaders from the Kentucky Nonprofit Network announced a new bipartisan caucus to work alongside the General Assembly. Executive Director Danielle Kaur says being able to work alongside lawmakers will make a big difference in supporting the mission of Kentucky's nonprofits.
You know, what we try to remind legislators is they are key to Kentucky's quality of life. So we love to talk about new jobs and new businesses, but that doesn't happen without nonprofits. Healthy communities, educated communities, access to the arts, protecting the environment, and nonprofits are woven through all of those things.
Now, officials tell us nonprofits employ more than 150,000 people across Kentucky. That makes them the fourth largest employment sector in the Commonwealth.
Perry County joined a long list of Kentucky counties yesterday, becoming a Second Amendment sanctuary. A large crowd gathered at the fiscal court meeting. Perry County Judge Executive Scott Alexander says he received support from other elected officials about this topic. The Second Amendment sanctuary passed unanimously.
We've believed in your Second Amendment right of the U.S. Constitution and your right of the Kentucky Constitution to keep and bear arms. And we just reaffirmed that today to the citizens of Perry County.
The resolutions express opposition to gun regulations.
And fire crews in Hazard were called out last night to a fire at an abandoned apartment building. It all happened on Christopher Road around 8:30. Crews say it started on the lower level and they were able to contain the flames. No injuries were reported, and the landlord tells us the power had been cut off from the building for some time. Investigators are still trying to figure out how it started.
In Cumberland, a rat infestation has the community of Pride Terrace on the lookout. Officials were able to pinpoint a particular problem area and provide some relief.
WYMT's Lacey Roberts talked with the health department and officials who say they can only do so much, but have made major strides.
Here in the small-knit community of Pride Terrace, an unwelcome issue.
Initially, we received a text from one of the residents in the neighborhood
on sanitary conditions.
It was certainly a harbor for rodents.
Led to solid waste enforcement being notified.
Just came together with a plan, I guess helping him help himself.
Officials limited on what they can do because of private property laws, but providing these bins for the community to do a massive purge. Neighbors fending for themselves.
Yeah, we got to set these traps every night, and we catching rats about, a foot long out here.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I open my door, it's running off my porch, and I'm like, wow.
Health environmentalist Justin Curry offering this advice for others in a similar situation.
Remove the food source.
The main one, dog and cat food. A chemical in the food acts as repellent to rat poison.
They're going to go into that because it's basically the equivalent of, hey, I'm going to go do something I shouldn't do, and here's the cure.
But the best advice of all is to hire a professional exterminator. In Cumberland, Lacey Roberts, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, Curry also suggests removing standing water and checking your pipes daily. The Harlan Health Department has cleared this community for being in full compliance.
Well, it's a cold start to the morning across the region. Maybe a few snowflakes in those western counties, but no active reports right now. Temperatures anywhere between 30 in Wise, up to 32 Moorhead, Logan, Prestonsburg, Jackson, Hazard, 34 London, Williamsburg, Somerset, and Jonesville. 37 is the hot spot there in Middlesboro this morning. It's a little bit warmer in some areas to the west and south. It's a little cooler in some areas to the east and north there than it was this time yesterday. A bit of a breeze this morning, so it could make it feel a a touch colder, so there could be a little bit of frost on your windshield this morning. Not a whole lot, maybe just a quick scrape, or give yourself a couple extra minutes to get the cars warmed up before you head out. The forecast for today by day part, cloudy this morning for the most part, a dreary day ahead with more clouds than anything, and then maybe some wintry mix or a little bit of a cold rain or snow possible later tonight as temperatures drop closer to freezing. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning.
More news is on the way. Kentucky lawmakers are considering a bill to keep students safe at the bus stop and address a serious issue with some drivers.
And in Cincinnati, 2 students are in isolation as a coronavirus precaution after one showed flu symptoms after a recent trip to China.